Hello and welcome to another round of MTGA tasting notes. This is a fun one for me because this is one of the newer wines in our lineup. It's something that I get to have a little bit more fun with when it comes to the label, and it's a variety that kind of has a cult following out here, and that is Cabernet Franc. This is our 2020 Let It Run Cabernet Franc. Now, for those of you that haven't heard the story, Let It Run comes from my rowing days in college. And this was a term or a phrase that the coxswain would use, as we're rowing, and we would stop rowing at a certain point, and they would say, all right, let it run. And you would just glide and the boat would just coast. You'd sit there, catch your breath, grab a drink of water, rest and relax before we got back into the workout and kind of the pieces that we were working towards when we were training. So let it run was always this just like, let it ride, just let it happen. Just don't stop working, just get out of the way and let the boat do the work for you, basically. And that's how this wine kind of came to be. Initially, we started making Cabernet Franc because we wanted to use it as a blending grape. It was going to be something that we used in our repechage, red blend, another lovely rowing term that I've thrown into our wine production. We were going to use a little bit probably in our Cabernet program as well. It was definitely meant to be something that was a part of other segments of our winemaking. And the first vintage of it, quite frankly, was so good on its own that I didn't want to blend it. I was like, you know what? Let's just bottle this on its own and let it run, let it do its thing. I'm not, even as a winemaker, I'm like, I am willing to take a step back and not get in the way and just let this wine do what it's doing. And here we are. This is the second vintage of our Let It Run Cabernet Franc. This is definitely the artist series, very much to my own enjoyment. And some of you may recognize a little bit of the theme to it. For better or for worse, gaming has been kind of my catharsis. It's something that's still to this day that I enjoy. It's a little bit more high tech these days and maybe what's depicted on the label here. But it's something that I've always enjoyed. And when we started designing the first label, we came up with this beautiful, or I should say, a very good friend of mine and our graphic designer, Karen Bergen of Bergen Creative and Designs. Like, she's just outrageously talented, number one, and she came up with kind of the 8-bit or 16-bit kind of figurine of me like holding a wine glass with a grapevine and a barrel next to me. There's actually a larger scene that like includes Brittany and our fluffy nugget of a cat, Grover. She just had, and it seemed like she had an immense amount of fun with it. And I was like, let's continue this. So this is our artist series. Every year we'll have a slightly different design to it. It's going to be something that we're going to adjust every year. We are really hoping that we continue to make Cabernet Franc now into the future, because it is just something that's kind of special, kind of fun, and just different than what we get to normally do. So 2020, not without its challenges. Obviously we had the fires roll through the area. Very luckily enough, before the major one started, the glass fire, we had all of our fruit already here at the winery and we were making wine. There was a little bit of a worry that some of the smoke that had been rolling through the area from the lightning complex fire, as well as fires up in Oregon and around Northern California, that they would have a negative effect on the season. I figured 2020 being what it was, I was making wine. That was kind of the one thing I had going for me this year, given all the other craziness that we all went through in 2020. I was like, damn it, I'm making wine this year. So we were able to bring in a little bit of fruit of our Cabernet Franc. It was a bunch of friends of mine. We all went out and picked these grapes. And this is the end result. It was something that we were able to make a barrel of when it's all said and done, so less than 300 bottles total. And it's just it's classic Napa Cabernet Franc. It's got these beautiful, like, savory characteristics, these really nice, deep, dark fruit characteristics. We did age it in some newFrench oak to give it a little extra spice and a little bit of extra intensity. And it is just in a really great spot. And this is definitely, for those that might be a little bit more familiar with like our Merlot, or maybe even our Cabernet, this really splits the difference. between the two. The Merlot tends to be a little softer, a little easier going. The Cabernet is a little bigger, a little richer. And this wine is just, it's got this really great structure to it. It's certainly a wine that's built to age. You can enjoy this now if you love that nice big intensity in your wines, or if you want it to smooth out a little bit, you can just kind of kick back and just wait a little bit on this wine. It's only gonna get better as time goes on. 2020, it seems like 2020 for the wines that we were able to make, they all tend to be very bright. They tend to be kind of jump out of the glass at you. They're all very yummy wines. I mean, we only made, oh gosh, it was probably about 300 cases total. You know, realistically, about a third, maybe a quarter of our overall production. Now with, you know, where we're at about 1,200 cases. So it was a year where we weren't able to make a lot of wine, but luckily enough, what we were able to make in the case of Pinot Noir, our Cabernet Franc, a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon, and of course our flagship, the Merlot, all of them are in a really good spot. And this Cab Franc is following suit. And it is from the Oak Knoll part of the valley, so a little bit further south, closer to the town of Napa. A little bit cooler climate as well. And it's just, man, it's singing right now. It's been a little while. Since we've had Cabernet Franc, the first vintage of this sold out really, really fast. So we have not been drinking a lot of Cabernet Franc at the house because it's been gone. So to have it back in our lineup and be sharing the next vintage of it with everybody, it's just in a really amazing spot. So it definitely, oh God, it just hangs around even after, you know, it's been like 30 seconds since I took my last sip, and it's still just hanging about. All the flavor's still there. It's a wine that's not gonna leave you hanging, that's for damn certain. It's got this really nice richness to it, good structure, great intensity, and the complexity just kind of sticks with you. It's a wine that it's gonna keep you coming back for more, that's for sure. You know, with Cabernet Franc being definitely kind of the new kid on the block, this being the second vintage of it, it's great to have it in the lineup and something that I really look forward to making as time goes on.